Good morning, Amanda. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Claire Cook, part of the Mobilise team. We are a tech startup by carers for carers, and we have a whole community and resources and support for unpaid carers. But you know this because you are part of our Mobilise community. I'm thrilled to invite you along today as part of our Carers and Creativity Week. And thank you very much for your time. As carers, we're aware that many of us have our own ways of accessing emotional resilience or tools to boost our emotional resilience. And we know that many carers are accessing creativity more and more to do this. So this week we're catching up with various carers in our community to talk about the creative projects and work that they've been doing. And you're here today to talk about creative writing, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing your story. Perhaps before we talk about the creative writing, you could introduce yourself a bit, tell us a little bit about your caring role and where we might see you pop up in the Mobilise community.
Sure. Hi. Thank you for having me. So I'm a full-time carer for my 14-year-old, nearly 15-year-old son called Josh. His main diagnosis are he has severe cerebral palsy and a profound hearing loss called auditory neuropathy. This in turn causes lots of sensory and behavioural issues. So, you know, Josh is reliant on me or someone and two people at certain times for all aspects of daily living. He can't even hold a cup to sip a drink. So he's a wheelchair user and non-verbal, and there's a whole host of medical problems as a result of the cerebral palsy. He has severe dysphagia, which means that he has a dangerous swallow and is risk from choking all the time. So all his meals have to be fed to him slowly, and he suffers from a condition called delayed gastric emptying, which means he can't eat a lot in one sitting. So he can't maintain his body weight and can't drink a lot. So he has a gastrostomy 6 to 7 times a day. He has to be given fluid and nutrition top-ups. He suffers from trapped wind. So 6 to 7 times a day, we have to vent him from his gastrostomy. And he also has a scoliosis curve, well, 2 scoliosis curves, which unfortunately have deteriorated rapidly due to his teenage year growth in the last year. And he's going to need surgery for that in the near future. So he's under a 24-hour daily postural management care system. He needs daily physio, and his position has to be changed every couple of hours. And so, you know, he takes a lot of time. In addition to this, there's the personal care side of things, not to mention the administration side of things.
Oh, the forms, the forms.
Having a child with such complex needs, you know, every day there's at least one complicated piece of admin to deal with.
Oh, yes.
Aside from that, he's a typical teenager. He doesn't want to get out of bed in the morning, and when he does, all he wants to do is lay on the sofa and watch The Simpsons. So, yeah,
sounds very familiar. We have a lot of Simpsons in our house. So there's a lot going on, isn't there, for you and for your son? And it almost feels like I think we often all feel like this, that we swallow a medical dictionary in this journey. So I'm thrilled that you've made some time today to join us in such a busy schedule. So thank you. And I suppose my first question would be, why writing? Out of all, you know, some people paint, some people sew, some people knit, there's gardening. So why writing?
Okay, so Josh is a twin, and at birth, the twins suffered from a rare condition called twin-to-twin transfusion, which is where one of the twins, in identical twins, one of the twins takes all the nutrients and all the blood, which is life-threatening to both babies. They were 9 weeks premature and spent the first 6 weeks in intensive care and special care. And I didn't realise it at the time, but I was quite depressed for quite a while afterwards. And I think it's partly due to this sheer exhaustion of having twins, plus an older son too. And one of them with so many problems. And in the first few years, you know, we had at least 200 appointments a year, plus numerous nights spent in hospital. And I think it took me a while to come to terms with everything that had happened. And it was then that I started journaling, just every day writing a diary of what had happened and how I was feeling. And then, gosh, to add to it all, 8 years ago, when the twins were nearly 6, my husband had a heart attack, and he's had 5 lots of corrective heart surgery since. And that's when I started using my writing as a kind of therapy for myself, a bit of me time, escapism. And I started writing short stories. And then I went on to take several creative writing courses. And in 2017, I joined the Faber Academy and progressed with my debut novel, Leave Well Alone, it's called. So yeah, that's really where it started.
Wow, I think that's fantastic that you found something that fits around what is clearly a very busy day, So to have something at your fingertips, literally, is marvellous, and that you recognise the benefit it was bringing you. I know a lot of people say that journaling can be very helpful, just getting all those thoughts out your head and onto the paper. And I know from our previous chats before today that you also incorporated finding the positive each day when you were writing, which I think is a lovely, a wonderful thing to do, particularly when you're in the thick of those early years, in the thick of so much
daily mayhem. Daily mayhem is...
Daily mayhem, yes, daily mayhem.
Way to describe it. And it's still daily mayhem on some days.
Yeah. Daily mayhem. I've not used that phrase, but that sounds like something I might use in the future. Oh my goodness. So I think that's wonderful. So you started with journaling, it led to a little bit of gratitude practice, and then you started short stories, which has progressed to studying creative writing, and now a debut novel. That's phenomenal. What a story. Yeah. And what inspired your short stories when you first started?
Just different. Well, I'm really fascinated by humans, what they do, and what leads them to do the things they do. And I often read newspaper articles or see articles online about the things people have done, and I think to myself, how could that possibly have happened? What circumstances could have led to someone doing the things, something they've done? And yeah, that's how my stories come about.
Wow, okay, amazing. And before you started, would you have considered yourself a creative person?
No, not really. I've always loved reading. I love reading psychological thrillers, which is the genre that I write in. But no, not really. Not really.
So you wouldn't say don't get put off if you don't think you're creative.
Not at all. No. There's you can always try writing. You don't need to show anyone.
Very good point.
As with everything in life, the more we practice, the better we become. And there's loads of online courses and groups that you can join. A lot of them free. If this is something that interests another carer, then definitely get involved. You never know where it might lead.
No, exactly. So that takes me on to your what next for you? Now, I know you've mentioned your debut novel, and I just think this is a really inspiring story that has come out of what was a very tricky and still is a very challenging situation day to day. And now you have published a debut novel, and I know you may be embarrassed, but I know that it's doing incredibly well on the Amazon charts. It's been out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks. I launched it on the 1st of August.
Leave Well Alone, and I have read it, and I think it's wonderful. So massive congratulations from all of us at Mobilise, and thank you for sharing your story. And I think finally, just before we go, what would be your top tip for getting started?
Oh, just open a notebook or open a Word document and just get some words down.
Yeah, simple as that.
Just start.
It's a low entry cost, isn't it? It's a biro and some paper. That's fantastic. Amanda, thank you so much for your time today. You're part of a whole week of talking to carers about how they're using creativity to get some me time, support emotional wellness, and have some fun. So thank you very much. I'll see you at a cuppa soon.
Nice to see you. Nice to speak to you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.